Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to another English class here on verbling.com. My name is Lisa, and in this hour, we're going to be having another reading class. We just had one in the last hour. We were finishing up, and this hour is going to be completely different. I'm going to put the link to the document here in the Verbling chat box so people can open it and read along with us. If you have a reservation for this hour, you can go ahead and use the reservation now. If you don't have a reservation, you can just wait a minute, and when you see the join class button, then you can join the class. We're going to be reading an article about Bolivia, and Bolivia has given some legal rights to the earth. So this is an interesting article about a country, a people who've decided that the earth needs to be protected. And so just like humans have legal rights, the earth also needs to have some rights so that it can be protected. So we're going to go ahead and read that article together. I'm going to be reading it out loud, and then you're going to have a chance to read it out loud. And then I'm going to go over some vocabulary as well, so some things that might be new for you, or that you might know a little bit, but I'm going to explain a little bit more. And then if we have time after we read, then we're going to discuss. So if you would like to join me in the class, let me just make sure the class is up on the Verbling class there. Yes, it is. So if you want to join, I started just a little bit late because I was finishing up in the last class. We were talking about the shootings in Paris, and so it's a very interesting topic, and the idea of freedom of expression and being respectful and this type of stuff was coming up in the class, so it was very interesting. So I'm going to wait here to see if we have some people show up. We did have a lot of reservations, but let me just explain how this works. If you are new to Verbling and you're not sure how it's working, Verbling is a website for language learning. Lots of different possibilities on this website. So one of the main things that we have is we have English classes and we have Spanish classes. So if you want to improve your English or Spanish, you can become a member of Verbling. And when you become a member, then what that allows you to do is you get to take classes. So you get to take classes any day of the week at any time. We have classes going on pretty much every hour during the day and during the night. So we say 24 hours a day, 7 days per week. And you can come into a class at any time. So right now, for example, we have 3 English classes happening and we have a Spanish class happening, and you can join a class anytime. When you see a teacher, teachers come, they start their classes usually on time, sometimes maybe a little bit late if they're teaching classes right in a row. And at the beginning of the hour, you can join the class. So hi, Anatoly. Welcome back.
Hello, Lisa. Thank you
Hi.
very much.
I really liked your point in the
Before,
last. Yeah, go ahead.
thank you, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you very much for your material which you posted in your blog, English
Oh,
Fluency Now. I
okay.
really enjoyed listening to your podcasts.
Oh, good.
That's very interesting. That's great,
Okay.
especially when your sons participated in your in
Yeah,
your events.
thanks.
I remember thanks about Thanksgiving
Uh-huh. Yeah.
when you asked your sons uh, express about that day. And
Mm-hmm.
also very interesting was when you described meaning of the song. It is very difficult for foreigners to understand a lyric of song, especially this song, which
Yeah.
is for a young generation. And it was very useful and interesting.
Oh,
I
good.
am thinking why not many classes in Verblin which are dedicated to songs. Because it's strange because it is a large part of English culture,
Yeah, for sure.
especially from the United States.
Hmm.
And we don't discuss enough about it. It is just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do it. We talked about this before, and then I did one, and we went over a song.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so I'm happy to do that. I mean, I like songs and music, and it definitely can be very difficult. Sometimes even for native speakers like myself, like you said, the younger generation or something, they have their own expressions and the way of talking about things, and sometimes we don't even understand what they're saying until you really listen to it and look at the words, and then you start understanding. So it can be a really eye-opening, thing, and it's fun. If you like music, uh, learning languages through music can be very powerful in a really great way if it's something you enjoy, because it's easy to listen to a song over and over and over again. Whereas sometimes it gets boring if you have to keep reading, an article over again to try to understand it. But the music comes naturally, and it's enjoyable. So, yeah, if you want
And
to,
also,
yeah.
uh, also, I noticed how many topics you covered in your broadcast,
Hmm.
in your blogs, uh, podcast, and maybe it is a reason why uh, I like these classes, reading
Mm,
classes, because we are reading here very different. We discuss about very different subjects,
yeah,
and we are reading original text, not dedicated especially for learners. And
yeah,
we are recognizing lots of new from different cultures. I mean, from the English-speaking countries' cultures. That's
yeah.
very interesting and useful.
Yeah, I think for me, once you get to a certain level, like an intermediate level, then you don't necessarily need specific ESL, books and things like that. You can just dive into the real language and deal with it, because you don't have to understand every single word. But as you read more, you get the language and the culture and the point of view and everything. So yeah, I like to do that even when I'm learning other languages myself. So that's my strategy. It's more interesting for if you're
Yes.
an adult and you're an educated person, then it's too boring to stick with the easy materials. So it's better to challenge yourself. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, agree.
All right. Well, and also I just wanted to say, anytime, this is for you and anybody who might be watching. I certainly am open, and I'm sure the other teachers are open. If you have suggestions for things you want to read or listen to, or songs that you want me to do a class on, then I'm completely open to doing that, because I'm here for you guys. So I'm here to help you, and it's a little bit different than if we were meeting, a couple times a week in person. We would have that conversation more often probably. But if anybody wants to send me like a message, a private message, and say, hey, why don't we read this in a class, or why don't you teach us this song or something like that, then I'm happy to do that, because I find that that's the most powerful way to learn, is when you are really motivated. So if the students come with, hey, we want to learn about this, or we don't understand this topic, or this would be really fun to talk about in class, I'm happy to facilitate that, because I know that it's more fun to learn when you're inspired, yourself to learn a topic or to study a subject or something. So yeah, anytime you want to send me some ideas, go ahead, because I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, well, I don't know what happened to everybody. I know I started a little bit late because I wish we could have continued that conversation about freedom of expression, because that would have been very interesting. I think a lot of people had things to say about that, but I had already scheduled this other reading class, so we're going to go ahead and read, which is a completely different topic. Like you said, we're doing all kinds of different topics here. Other side of the world, in fact. And I thought it was pretty interesting. So it's about Bolivia. Maybe you've already looked at it. And it's called Bolivia Gives Legal Rights to the Earth. So we're going to read about Bolivia, the country, and how they are trying to protect at least their part of the earth, So let's go ahead and get started with that. And perhaps once we're reading, some other people might join us. Why don't I go ahead and let you read, Anatoly?
Yes, okay.
All right.
Okay. Bolivia gives legal rights to the earth. Law of Mother Earth sees Bolivia pilot a new social and economic model based on protection and respect for nature. Bolivia is to become the first country in the world to give nature comprehensive legal rights in an effort to halt climate change and exploitation of the natural world, and to improve quality of life for the Bolivian people.
Okay, let's just do a little bit at a time. So make sure. So when I'm usually reading with a lot of people, I kind of guess about what people might understand or not understand, and I explain certain things. But since it's just you and me here, what, if anything, do you not understand about this part? Do you understand the main ideas? Or?
The main idea about rights for land to the earth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
And about law
Mm-hmm.
which related to the earth,
Right.
to the place. Mhm.
Right. So they want to pilot a new program. So whenever you're piloting something in terms of a program, it's like you're the first one doing it. So here, for example, whenever they make a new TV show and they call it a pilot, this is a pilot show, it means it's the first show, and if it gets accepted, then they'll put it on TV for a full, what they call a full run. So in this case, this country, Bolivia, is trying a new thing, and it's a new social and economic model that they're trying to promote, and they want to protect nature is the idea, and they want to give nature comprehensive legal rights. So comprehensive means a lot, not just one little right, but something that encompasses the whole. So comprehensive, it deals with a lot of different things, and the reason why is they want to halt climate change, so they want to stop, that's halt, stop the climate change, and they want to stop the exploitation of the natural world. So it's taking out all the minerals and exploiting all the forests and the lakes and rivers and things, and they want to improve quality of life for the people living in Bolivia, the Bolivian people.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's good. All right,
Mhm.
go ahead and read the next part.
Okay. Developed by grassroots social groups and agreed by politicians, the law of Mother Earth recognizes the rights of all living things, giving the natural world equal status to human beings. Once fully approved, the legislation will provide the Earth with rights to life and regeneration, biodiversity, and freedom from genetic modification, pure water, clean air, naturally balanced system, restoration from the effects of human activity, and freedom from contamination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you know what grassroots social groups are?
I can guess it is like Greens. We call group who uh, protect nature, Greens.
Uh-huh.
Maybe this is the similar group who care about um, care about protecting nature,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
grassroots,
that's a
grass.
that's a
Mhm,
good guess, but it actually means something a little bit more specific. Whenever you say a grassroots organization or a grassroots group, it means that it's just a bunch of people, a group of people who come together for a certain purpose. And it means that it's different than a professional, like a professional company didn't organize this,
mhm,
politicians didn't organize it. So a grassroots group is just people who said, hey, I don't really like this, and another person says, yeah, I don't like it either, and they start to form a group to work on an issue. And so it can be a grassroots group about anything. So it could be about the environment, but it could also be about, mental health issues, homelessness, poverty. But the idea is it
mhm,
comes from the public, the people. It's not
mhm,
coming from the top down. So it's kind of, we call it like a bottom up kind of social organization. So people at the bottom, just the regular day people, they create a group to fight for something. And then the politicians agreed with them, and they liked the idea. And so they all are in agreement that they want to have this law of Mother Earth that recognizes the rights. So usually we just think of human rights. We don't think that a
mhm,
plant or a tree has a right to anything, but they want to give it equal status, so equal treatment, basically saying we're the same thing. Humans are the same as animals or trees or anything. Okay, let's see. And in here we have all these things that they're explaining what the law is designed to do, to give them the rights. You understand life probably. Regeneration means when you
mhm.
you understand regeneration? Okay.
Yes, we have the same
Oh, same word. Yeah, that
word.
helps. That's always nice when that happens. So biodiversity, having a lot of diversity. Freedom from, so they don't like genetic modification, so no GMOs. We have, that's the word here,
Mhm,
GMOs. And these
mhm,
all sound really nice. A day where you can have pure water, clean air, restoring the environment from the effects of human activity like factories and things like that. And it has the right to freedom from contamination. So the rivers have a right to not be contaminated. That's the idea. That's a radical idea. You
mhm.
cannot contaminate the river. It has the rights. That's amazing. Okay. All right. Go ahead and read.
Mhm.
And if you have any questions, make
Okay,
sure you tell me, so
okay.
yeah.
Uh, Legislation is based on broader principles of living in harmony with the earth and prioritizing
Mhm.
the collective good. At its heart is an understanding that the earth is sacred, which arises from the indigenous Andean worldview of Pachamama, meaning Mother Earth, as a living being. An initial act outlining the rights, which was passed by Bolivia's National Congress in December 2010 and paves the way for the full legislation. Defines Mother Earth as a dynamic and in the indivisible community of all living systems and living organisms, interrelated, interdependent, and complementary, which share a common destiny.
Mhm. Okay. Did you understand that paragraph?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Also, repeating the uh, idea that Mother Earth
Mhm.
has the same rights as the human,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and it comes from or arises from this indigenous view, or we say world view, how a people, they understand the world and what it means and everything. So they're seeing Earth as a mother, as Mother Earth, as a living being. And so it needs to be protected, and that's where the idea, the kind of philosophy behind this legislation. Yeah. So they're trying to protect it because it's a dynamic, it's very active. Things can change, yet it's a living organism, and we are all interrelated. So we have connections, and we are also interdependent. Rather than being independent, separate, we are interdependent. We rely on each other. Okay.
then
Uh-huh.
you for me now it is they gave a definition of the nature, Mother Earth,
Mm-hmm.
as a system,
Mm-hmm.
as a complex of living systems and living organisms.
Right.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's much different than the way we see, modern day people view the earth as like something to take from and use and, make a profit or, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a different point of view or philosophy. Yeah. And also we share a common destiny. So as humans, we share, the destiny, the future with the living things. So, our health is also connected to the health of the planet. The different systems of the planet. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Uh, we have a new student here.
Oh, we have a new student. I didn't see Ken. Hi, Ken. I was focused on reading.
Oh no, I just came, so
Hey, no problem. Anatoly has been reading, so you want to have a turn to read here?
okay.
Okay. Cool.
Bolivia's government will be legally bound to prioritize the well-being of its citizens and the natural world by developing policies that promote sustainability and control industry. The economy must operate within the limits of nature and the countries to work towards energy and food sovereignty, while adopting renewable energy technologies and increasing energy efficiency. Preventing climate change is a key objective of the law, uh, which includes protecting the lives of future generations. The government is requesting that rich countries help Bolivia adapt to the effects of climate change in recognition of the environmental debt they owe for their high carbon emissions.
Hmm. So, Ken, I don't know if you
Mhm,
were reading along before, but we're just talking about Bolivia,
mhm,
and they are wanting to give Mother Earth and living systems legal rights to be protected, and so
mhm,
that's the idea of this article. So the government now, according to this new law, will be legally bound. So that means legally obligated. It's their
mhm,
responsibility to prioritize, to make a priority, the well-being of its citizens, so the humans, the people who live in Bolivia, but also the natural world. And the way they're going to do that is to
mhm,
develop the policies that promote sustainability and control industry. So they're not going to just let, companies come in and take over and do whatever they want with their natural resources. They have a different vision for the economy. It has to operate within the limits of nature, not destroying the nature. And yeah, they want to have energy and food sovereignty, which means they can create their own energy and create their own food, not having to rely on other countries. So all these things, preventing climate change is a key objective, a key purpose, goal of the law, and protecting the lives of future generations. So before you came in, we were just reading that this is based on the more indigenous worldview of the earth being like a mother, like it gives us life, and we have to also protect it, kind of thing, instead of exploiting it. So this is an interesting sentence here, that they are requesting, the government is requesting that the richer countries, obviously like the United States, Japan, European Union, that they help Bolivia to adapt, and that's kind of paying off a debt, that they owe to the planet because of our high carbon emissions with our high technology lifestyles and stuff like that. So that's an interesting concept there. Okay, Anatoly. Continue.
Okay. Bolivia is particularly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, according to an Oxfam report in 2009, which increased drought, melting glaciers, and flooding. In the international stage, the government will have a legal duty to promote the uptake of rights for Mother Earth, while also advocating peace and the elimination of all nuclear, chemical and biological weapons. Following a change in Bolivia's constitution in 2009, the law is part of a complete overhaul of the legal system. It represents a shift away from the Western development model to a more holistic vision based on the indigenous concept of why we're being to live well.
Okay. Bolivia is particularly vulnerable. Vulnerable means, you're easy to get hurt. Like a child is a vulnerable person, compared to an adult. It's much easier to hurt a child, for example. So they're vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, so the effects of climate change. And that's according to an Oxfam report. And that's because of the increasing drought, the melting glaciers, and the flooding. So all these things are happening in this area. With this new law, the government of Bolivia is going to, again, have a legal duty. So it's going to be, they have to do this, promote basically the rights of Mother Earth. Also, not just protecting the earth, but also these other things, advocating peace. So this is a whole nother aspect of protecting the environment, would be to eliminate all nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons. So those are harmful things to the earth. And this is part of a complete overhaul. When you overhaul something, it means you change it completely. So they're looking at their legal system, and they're moving away from, or shifting away from, this Western style of development, and they're looking at the more holistic vision. So a holistic vision takes into consideration everything, not just profit for the company, but how does it affect Earth? How does it affect people? How does it affect our lifestyle? And they're going back to an indigenous concept of living well. Vivir bien is Spanish, just to live well. Okay, Ken, why don't you read all of that part next?
The proposal for the law states, living well means adapting forms of consumption, behavior, and conduct that are not degrading to nature. It requires an ethical and spiritual relationship with life. Living well processes the complete fulfillment of life and collective happiness. Unity Pact, an umbrella group for the 5 Bolivian social movement, prepared the draft law. They represent over 3
They were
people.
3 million. Yeah, it's for
3
3 million.
3 million people, and all of the country's 36 indigenous groups, the majority of whom are small-scale farmers, with many still living on the ancestral lands.
Okay. All right. So the proposal, what they propose, what they want, it means adopting forms of. So to adopt means, you have to, that's what you're going to change your behavior, and you're going to adopt a new way of doing something. So a different style of consumption, which means, how you consume products, food, things like that, how you behave in relation to the earth, and your conduct. And you have to do these things in a way that it's not degrading or not harmful to nature. So figuring out new ways to live on earth is kind of the idea, moving away from the Western capitalistic model of production, growth, that type of thing. And so it's, you're becoming more ethical in the way you treat maybe animals, the environment, other human beings, and it's kind of more of a spiritual relationship with life and living things. Let's see. An umbrella group is a group that kind of covers it encompasses a lot of other groups. So it's a larger group. And they prepared the draft. The draft is like the first version of the law. A lot of these people who are for the law, like we said earlier, we had the word here, grassroots. So it's organized by people, not by political organizations that already exist, but just people coming together. And so the people who are coming together have been these small-scale farmers, indigenous groups, people who are still living on their ancestral lands, so the lands of their people for many, many, many generations. And so they're trying to protect their way of life, their livelihood, how they live, how they feed themselves, how they live, shelter, all those kinds of things, and their cultures, of course. And they're trying to protect this from the impact that industry has on, because oftentimes industry destroys their livelihoods, so they can no longer farm. They have to just go get a job somewhere, and that's usually very difficult. Okay, Anatoly?
Okay. Ondarico Pinto, a leader of the social movement Confederation Sindical Única de Trabajadores Campesinos de Bolivia, said, "It will make industry more transparent. It will allow people to regulate industry at national, regional, and local levels, signifying a fundamental shift away from exploitation of nature." The draft law refers to mineral resources as a blessing and states that Mother Earth is sacred, fertile, and the source of life that feeds and cares for all living beings in her womb. She is in permanent balance, harmony, and communication with the cosmos.
Okay. Okay, so she's a leader, and it will make industry more transparent. Transparent means see through. Like if you have transparent material, you can see through it. So in this case, when you're talking about the government being more transparent or a business, it means you see what they're doing. They're not hiding it. They can't hide from you. And so, that's important for knowing how they are impacting the earth with their, their policies, or digging, minerals out of the earth, for example, how it impacts the rivers, that kind of stuff. It's more transparent. It'll allow the people to regulate the industry. So not allowing the businesses just to control everything, but the people to get to decide. And this signifies, this indicates, this shows a fundamental shift away from. So a fundamental means, it's very basics. It's a paradigm shift. It's very significant and important because they're changing from exploiting nature to protecting nature. And in countries like this in South America, especially the mining, mining can really wreck the earth. So it's referring specifically to their mineral resources. And they have a viewpoint. This is the philosophy that the Mother Earth is sacred. It's fertile, which means it can grow life. And it is the source of life. So we need to protect it. If we don't have a healthy earth, we cannot have a healthy life as humans. So we need to protect it. So it's a different worldview. Okay, Ken, how about this part here?
A Ministry of Mother Earth is to be established to promote the new rights and ensure they are complied with. But with its economy currently dependent on exports of natural resources, earning nearly a third of its foreign currency, around £3 million a year, from mining companies, Bolivia will need to balance its new obligations against the demands of the industry.
So, usually you have a Ministry of Education, a Ministry of Health, Ministry of different things, and now they're going to have a Ministry of Mother Earth, and they're going to establish it or to create it, and the purpose is to promote, to support these new rights, and to ensure, to make sure that businesses are complying with. So we comply with rules or laws, which means we follow them. We don't go against them. We comply with them. But with its economy, they are currently dependent on. So they need to export their natural resources, based on the money system, to get the foreign currency that they need. And this is coming from the mining companies. So they're going to have to figure out a way to balance the new obligations of protection, protecting the earth, with the demands of the industry. So how are they going to, make sure that the mining companies work in a responsible way? Okay, Anatoly?
Okay. The full law is expected to pass within the next few months and is unlikely to face any significant opposition because the ruling party, the movement towards socialism, has a considerable majority in parliament. Its leader, President Evo Morales, voiced a commitment to the initiative at the World Peoples Conference on Climate Change, held in Bolivia in April 2010.
Yeah. So they expect it to pass. So that's what they think is going to happen, because it's unlikely that it will face any significant opposition. So because the ruling party wants, this law to pass, and they're the majority, a considerable, so that means significant, quite a bit in the majority, they're not going to have any significant opposition. So nobody's there to oppose it. So it will likely pass pretty soon. So here are some of the things that it includes. All right, Ken, why don't you read all of that part?
Okay, the law of Mother Earth includes the following: the right to maintain the integrity of life and natural processes, the right to not have a cellular structure modified or genetically altered, the right to continue vital cycles and processes free from human alternation, the right to pure water, the right to clean air, the right to balance, to be at equilibrium,
Mm-hmm.
the right to be free of toxic and radioactive pollution.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so do you guys understand all of these words here? The integrity of life, so not altering it. No GMOs, basically, so you cannot modify different living organisms genetically or at the cellular structural level. You have to allow the cycles of life to continue, the vital cycles. Vital means to life, things that are really important to the continuance of life, and free from human alteration. So humans can't just come in and start taking down all the trees and moving the mountains and stuff like that, blowing up mountains or whatever like they do sometimes. Okay, free from toxic and radioactive pollution. Okay.
What is equilibrium? Equilibrium.
Equilibrium. Okay, so it's the idea of balance. So you have a right to balance and equilibrium. So when things are equal, they're not out of balance. So to be out of balance would be like if you have a polluted river, for example. So the earth, the living systems have the right to live in harmony is kind of another word, equilibrium. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah, it's another word, equilibrium. It's really just another word for balance. If you have a problem with your ear, for example, and your equilibrium gets off, you could fall down, for example, as a person. So if you're not like stable. So the earth has a right to be in balance, to be stable, and to not be out of balance by contamination or something, pollution. Okay, Anatoly.
Mhm. The right to not be affected by mega infrastructure and development projects that affect the balance of ecosystems and their local inhabitant communities. The law also promotes harmony and peace and the elimination of all nuclear, chemical, biological weapons.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so to be affected by mega meaning huge, infrastructure. So, lots of roads and utilities and things like this, and development projects. So again, projects, come like the Western model of coming in and building huge buildings, big, infrastructure and all that kind of stuff to put people into new cities, things like that. That will affect the balance. So again, the equilibrium or the balance of the ecosystems, and also the local inhabitant community. So what has happened a lot in what we call the New World, in the United States and Latin America, South America, is that over the years, people have moved into communities that were inhabited by native peoples, indigenous peoples, and they have wrecked their communities, so destroyed the local communities. So that's been happening in other countries, so they don't want that to happen. And so basically they want harmony and peace, and they don't want to have any of these kind of weapons of mass destruction is what those could be called, chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons. Okay, wow, sounds pretty utopian to me. What do you guys think about this idea? Is it a new vision for how people can be living on the planet? Is it naive to think we can do this, or what do you guys think? Anatoly?
It seems naive, but I remember I compared this proposal with law to be not, how we can say, to allow all people to be in front of water on the river, on the lakes, on the sea. It means we have similar law. It means that if other law became contradictive of uh, this law,
Yeah.
fundamental law. It is like it is a. I think it is a statement from our constitution.
Mm.
The law which lower level
Mm-hmm.
should be dismissed, and it means that basic rights of
Mm-hmm.
human being, like possibility to uh, inhale fresh air,
Yeah.
to be to possibility to swim in clean water.
Yeah.
Water it is a nature's a resource of nature, and
Yeah.
everybody. It doesn't matter is it rich people or poor person.
Mm-hmm.
And they all have equal rights to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like utopic, maybe naive law proposal, but I tend to think that they care about nature more than more development countries,
Mm.
which uh, are reason for uh, very harm effect for our nature. And I wonder about Bolivia. Maybe it needs to look to Google map to Bolivia and how they live there in harmony with the nature. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, yeah, from what I've studied, typically in smaller indigenous populations, they lived for so many years more in harmony with nature. And so Bolivia still has, indigenous populations which still have that worldview and the way they want to live, continue to live. We call it like a low impact, low human impact perhaps on life or on nature, that allows them to continue to have generation after generation living there. But that's in contrast to the modern day, which is the view is using the earth to satisfy human desires to have more things. So it ends up looking like you're depleting the natural resources, contaminating our natural resources, things like that. So it's definitely a opposite worldview. Like, what are humans here for? What are we doing? And do we have any responsibility to this planet? Ken, what do you think about this idea of giving Mother Earth legal rights?
Yeah, kind of. It could be naive, but the how can I say? In this commercialized society or world, we consume Earth as well.
Mm-hmm.
So as a result, I think many people worried about the future, what's going to happen in the future,
Yeah.
the Earth environment. Our lifestyle is sustainable, whether our lifestyle sustainable or not.
Right.
So many people worried about that. Maybe this agenda is a kind of challenge such kind of global system nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
global commercialized globalization,
Right.
and and for them maybe kind of there's no but if they agreed with globalization economy, but
Mm-hmm.
there's no guarantee that they can develop actually because many nations now suffers a huge debt from
Mm.
the developed nations,
Yeah.
in the name of the economic development,
Right.
you know, but maybe there's no guarantee to develop, and plus they have to owe the huge debt.
Yeah.
But however, maybe they are kind of reacting back. Money is not everything, and you also release a lot of CO2 and chemicals in order to grow up, develop
To
the
develop,
economy. Or, yeah.
to develop an
So
economy. Yeah.
yeah, it's now developing nation began to say that developed nation's responsibility. So
Mm.
maybe in that sense they are kind of reply back, or and maybe yeah, such kind of thing. I was thinking about that while I'm reading and listen to the comment of Anatolis.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, certainly the globalization and this type of intensive use of Earth's resources has only happened in the last several, couple hundred years, maybe even less. And so it's new. And so, yeah, maybe Bolivia, you could say maybe they are visionaries, that their way might be the only way that the Earth will survive. Some people could argue that point, like if we continue to contaminate the Earth, then humans won't even be able to live here anymore. So Anatoly, what are you finding some cool stuff on
Yes,
Bolivia?
yes.
Yeah.
I click on the photos on the
Uh-huh.
Google Map
Nice.
because they don't have many street views, and
Mm.
mm, I received the wish to visit this country. I compared it with Madeira, where I was 2 years ago.
Mm.
It was also very unusual nature, and they also, Portuguese people who uh, belongs this island Madeira in
Yeah.
Atlantic Ocean. They also care about keeping the nature,
Mm-hmm.
and I compare these photos with what I saw on Madeira.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. If I had a chance to visit, maybe I accept one dream to visit Australia.
Uh-huh.
I collect the second dream to visit Bolivia
Yeah.
because it looks very unusual. The nature there, not touched of human,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not usual thing
Yeah.
for
It's
nowadays.
rare these days. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, it's interesting because, like you mentioned, Australia, they have Aboriginal people, Indigenous people, but usually they don't have much power. So here in Bolivia, they are actually powerful. They have some say in the government because in most countries, people who have this point of view or this world view don't have very much power. They seem like very, idealistic or something, but not powerful. So they have power within the government.
Yes.
Ken, what do you think about Japan and being an island nation? It seems like very much, very important to consider the health of the island, and
Yeah. Mhm.
so does the government promote, the environment, protection of
I
the
don't think
environment?
so.
What?
I
No?
don't think so. I don't
No?
think so. And
Oh.
liberalism was over, and conservatism came back, and
Mm.
they began to the agenda is the uh, kind of nuclear power plants
Mm.
started again. Maybe they will. They
Okay.
sooner or later. And surprisingly, the Tokyo Electric Company, which caused the accidents, they have the they got a black in balance sheet this year because
Hmm.
they rose up the electric bill.
Oh my
They
gosh.
yeah they used that accident to raise up the electric bill. Even
Ah.
before, the Japanese electric bill was the highest in the world. So
Wow.
it's more higher than ever.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So we cannot get out of that kind of commercialized or industrial based developing uh, cycle.
Yeah, it's
Pretty
like,
different from
well, that's what I was thinking about, you know, like using the word visionary to describe this idea. It's visionary. It's maybe not realistic for a lot of countries right now, but it's like a long-term vision. So,
right.
but that's the idea, though, is that,
Yeah.
you know, modern
It is.
economies like Japan, maybe it's like stuck. You know, maybe it's not going to change until there's even more destruction. You know.
Because once the system was established, it's very difficult to change.
Yes.
Actually. So, and maybe people can enjoy the kind of industrial life. So in that sense, it's not only the government problem, but also our lifestyle problem too. In
Yeah,
the end,
people have to want to have that kind of life. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that without ideal, we cannot achieve anything. So
Mm.
maybe this case is N1 idealistic idea, and their indigenous life has proven it's sustainable.
Just
But
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
They've been there for a long time.
right.
Right. Right. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for coming to class and talking about this. It's interesting, you know, visionary people exist, and sometimes their vision doesn't happen until way in the future. So maybe it will start something. Certainly, people want to have clean air and clean water. I think most people would agree that's a good goal and something we should have. But whether or not we want to give up our lifestyle to have it, that's the debate. Yeah. Okay, guys. Take care. Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Goodbye.
much.
Okay.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.